I think what IDS is doing is bringing really incredible makers, designers, and suppliers together and showing off what people can actually do in Canada. Sometimes when I unwind is when my best design ideas sort of come to fruition.
It's the light bulb in the bathtub moment, right?
Correct, correct.
I find sometimes if I'm working on a show, it's the journey home and I've just got a piece of paper and a pen, and that is when the best ideas come from, not when you're in the thick of it.
I love that. Light bulb in the bathtub, but not in reality.
Not both of them together. Don't try that at home. No, absolutely not.
This is where creativity gets lit. I'm talking bold pivots, design funks, and those tiny rituals that keep us grounded. I'm interior designer and creative director Ali Velji, and on AVD Inspire, I sit down with artists, makers, and icons for the real conversations behind the work.
Will Sorrell grew up in London, was raised by parents who were designers, and was wired to see beauty in everything. And now he's shaping the future of Canadian design as the national director of IDS. Toronto, Vancouver, the main stage, the vision, the impact. He doesn't just curate what we see, but makes us rethink how design works. Now, for me personally, he's been a champion, a connector, and a creative force that I deeply admire and respect. So, Will Sorrell, welcome to AVD Inspire.
Thank you, Ali. That's a lovely introduction.
Well, I am so happy to have you. Are you in Victoria right now?
I am. I live and work from Victoria, and I'm across Canada a lot of the time visiting the different design communities I work with.
Amazing, amazing. Well, before we sort of get into it, I want to talk about this is something that came up in our pre-call, and I will forever, truly never forget this. I want to talk about your Gucci to Gore-Tex moment.
Wow. Absolutely. That's my wife's saying, not mine actually. But yeah, it's a really interesting one. So I grew up in central London in Camden, working in the design sector for nearly 20 years before I moved to Victoria, and it was a big shift. So going from bustling, busy London lifestyle, lots of meetings flying around town from Clerkenwell to South Ken. And then in 2020, we moved to Victoria, which is where my wife is from. So I'm in the land of natural beauty instead of built environment beauty. It's a different thing, natural environment. Walks on beaches, hikes. There's definitely a creative sector here, but it's a very, very different atmosphere to Zone 2 on the tube.
So how did you sort of like mitigate that? Because it's like, you're going from London that is like the hub of design and there's so much going on there. And then you go to Victoria, there is a creative community there, but maybe it's not as big. How did you get your fulfillment there?
Yeah, it took a while to be really honest about it. We moved over in January 2020, and the plan was we quit our jobs at the end of 2019, and we were going to travel the world for a year with our kids. So, of course, that didn't happen. And instead, we were moving from busy flying around London every day to being in suburban Victoria during a pandemic, quarantined. So it was like a completely different world and, night and day. So that was a real challenge. And of course, we were strange time to leave our careers behind. We discovered Victoria's creative scene slowly because of that.
Your parents were designers. And so how did that sort of shape how you see beauty today? And as a young Will, and having parents that were designers, how were you with that creative realm? Like, did you think that you were going to also become a designer, or not at all?
Well, my parents always said to me, don't go into design, it's so hard, because they worked so hard. And my parents are amazing people, and I sort of grew up in their shadow, really. We were and are still very prominent in the UK design scene. They started a business called Newell and Sorrell, which was Europe's biggest branding agency. It wasn't called branding then, it was called corporate identity.
Right.
Same thing, different name. My dad started the London Design Festival as well. They've been very involved with lots of universities. They've got a charity called the Sorrell Foundation, which helps inspire young people to pursue careers in the creative sector and educates on what job opportunities are, because often parents want you to be a doctor or a lawyer because they can understand that.
I know that. I know that. Absolutely. I think that's absolutely amazing. And
Yeah.
so the apple doesn't fall far from the tree then.
Well, completely. I mean, I grew up in their business, so they had this huge studio, which was a 5-10 minute walk around from our house. So I ended
Mhm.
up there a lot after school. When I was sick, I was hanging out in the dark in the boardroom, watching something on the VHS. Just dated myself, haven't I? And it's a really inspiring environment. Of course, one of the young designers sneaking me a beer when it was the office Christmas party, like all of this stuff. It
Perfect.
was just an amazing, full of privilege to have grown up in that
Mhm.
environment. They created beautiful spaces as well in their homes, very contemporary minimalist. So I
Okay.
grew up with that around me. And you have the books around you, and you kind of inhale that stuff. But it was not just the creativity, but what I really got from my parents was, it sounds so cheesy to say, like the entrepreneurial spirit, but it's more the hard work.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
like how hard you have to work on something for it to be a success. I hope I got that from them, but I'm nowhere near anywhere as successful as they are. Growing
Oh,
up in that business was great, and I worked with them a couple of times as well. I've done a couple of
okay.
projects with them over the years too. Yeah,
That's fabulous.
it's they sort of came of age and started work in the 60s and were going to Carnaby Street, looking at the latest fashion, and then going home and making the clothes, copying them. So talk about
It's-
Gucci to Gore-Tex. It's like it's very foreign. You assume it's another English-speaking country. There's a lot of roots in the UK and Europe. It's going to be very similar, but it's quite different in a lot of ways.
Mhm. Absolutely. When your client asks for wow, but your brain is serving boo, I call Robinson Lighting and Bath. They've got the goods. Everything from sleek plumbing fixtures, lighting fixtures, and showrooms that deserve their own playlists. And their team knows the difference from polished nickel to polished chrome and why it's important. And don't even get me started on their trade program and quick ship programs. They're absolutely amazing and so good. Robinson isn't just where we shop, it's where AVD shines. Bringing homes to life one sconce at a time. That's incredible. I love that. I think that's like a good lesson for our listeners too, because there's lots of change that could happen in anyone's career or anyone's life. And sometimes it's really hard to manage going from this like big, beautiful sort of creative hub to something that's maybe a little less glamorous. But it's like, it's what you make of it, right? I think that's a really important lesson. You just have to make it your own.
Well, that's it, and you've got to look hard as well. So, Victoria, if you
Mm-hmm.
look on the surface, there's the Butchart Gardens with the manicured roses, and there's whale watching, and there's a little twee historic downtown where people go on their double-decker bus tours. But there's so much more than that. There's this
Yeah.
sort of hidden creative economy, and I say hidden because I come from London, which is a very old city in a country and a continent that's built around the high street. So you've got these
Mm-hmm.
urban centres where people congregate and exchange ideas. And then Victoria is very suburban, as I mentioned, and it's basically lots of buildings hidden behind parking lots. So
Mm-hmm.
the interaction, it's harder to have chance encounters than it is what I'm used to. But there are amazing things happening across the city and the peripheries as well, and it's just about linking them up. And I've been lucky enough to meet some of them through IDS as well.
And this has come up a few times in our post interviews with our different guests too. It's just sometimes just taking that time to just be. And I feel like that really helps, especially the creative process. You know, I think for me too, is sometimes when I unwind is when my best design ideas sort of come to fruition.
Yeah, it's the light bulb in the bathtub moment, right?
Correct. Correct.
I find sometimes if I'm working on a show, it's the journey home and I've just got a piece of paper and a pen, and that is when the best ideas come from, not when you're in the thick of it. And, you know,
I love that. Light bulb in the bathtub, but not in reality.
not both
Don't
of
do
them together. Don't try that at home. No, absolutely not.
Yeah. And so now, when we talk about IDS and how you got involved, I don't even actually know the story of how you became to be the national director of IDS.
For sure. I've been working on design shows for a long time, and I worked on an amazing show in London called Design Junction, which was just
Okay.
lighting and furniture, contemporary lighting and furniture, and it wasn't in a venue, so we'd pop it up in different places for from an abandoned 1905 custom built arts and crafts university, which had been empty for 15 years.
Oh my
We had to
God.
kick out all the rats and the pigeons and then make a beautiful
Oh,
venue, to building our own venue from the ground up around new property developments. Very different from IDS, but loads of similarities as well. I've been doing that for a while, and in fact, the parent company of Design Junction also is the parent company of IDS. So I knew the team. I knew that I might be in Canada for a while, so I stayed in touch. And
mhm.
it was, I think, 2021. Patty, who is the group director for a bunch of really exciting shows for Informa, told me about this opportunity. And it's amazing. So I guess it's the only job in Canada I'm actually qualified to do. So I was really lucky.
Well,
It
it
was
worked out
very good.
perfectly.
Worked out perfectly, and it's on a personal level. Before we talk about the show, it's amazing for me because I love Victoria, but I love to stay connected to the two of the major design hubs in Canada. And there are other design cities as well. Montreal, Calgary's very exciting at the
Hmm.
moment. It's a privilege to be able to go to Toronto a lot and be engaged with that design community.
Fabulous. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my history in IDS. Like literally, I think more than 50% of the guests that we have on the first season, I have met through IDS. And I think IDS is so important and has been so important to me as a designer because I have made so many different contacts at these shows. I think what IDS is doing is bringing really incredible makers, designers, and suppliers together and showing off what people can actually do in Canada. And I think that's really important. So, what's one sort of bold decision that you've made at IDS that sort of has completely changed the game?
Oh,
Ugh.
well, let's think of. I've been trying to change a few things actually. I love change.
Mhm.
I think we've got to all stay on our toes the whole time and not get
Yes.
complacent, especially in the creative sector.
Hmm.
One big change I made to the Toronto show was changing the venue.
Hmm.
It's the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. It had been in the North Building for years. And for those who haven't been to IDS, the North Building has this huge 3-story high glass window, and you can see the city.
Hmm.
You can get natural light through there. And the show had been moved to the South Building, which is downstairs, to have a little bit more space. It was a really good
Hmm.
decision, the right decision at the time, but it lost some of the energy. And
Yeah.
design shows are not like your standard trade show because they need to have some kind of beautiful setting. You need to tell the story of these products, and also the
Hmm.
people who are coming have a really good eye. So you need to make
Correct.
sure that their whole experience has a little bit of beauty of it. And that's hard in convention centers, no matter how
Hmm.
beautiful they are. First thing I wanted to do when I came in is move it back up to the North Building. There are some operational challenges. I think with events, the harder things are to do, the better the events are. There's this inverse
Hmm.
correlation. And then one other thing, I know you said one, I'm going to give you two.
No, please give me all the things.
IDS has always had a couple of different audiences. It's had the industry, and as you say, it's
Hmm.
about people interacting between different parts of the industries, and I think even wider than design. It's great to have artists and photographers and other people coming to the show. But then we've had lots of consumers coming on the weekend. And you can't
Hmm.
please everyone. It's really hard for a show to have two distinct audiences. So
Correct.
I've been shifting us to focus more energy on the design industry and the trade and to
Hmm.
create the perfect show for our sector to come together and connect. Every show is about connection. It's about bringing people together to exchange ideas. And hey, if we build something that is absolutely perfect for the industry, then I'm pretty sure people will come on the weekend and find inspiration there too. But we need to
Yes.
lead with the industry.
I absolutely agree with that. And I think that's very important because if you're trying to wear too many hats or please too many people, you end up almost diluting what you're all about. And I think, again, a great lesson for anybody listening that's in that wavelength of, oh, what am I doing? How am I supposed to do this? Don't try to do everything because I think once you do that, you can't give your 100% to what you're doing, right? Because you're wearing too many hats and you're trying to do too many things. So I think that's lovely, and I think that, like you said, things will just come into place with the consumer because they'll want to go to the show that has these incredible installations or whatever it is. They'll want to get inspired that way. I'm sure it's a whole situation when you look at who you're going to be highlighting at IDS and, you know, what speakers you're going to have. And just because I feel like design is so large and international, and there's so many people that probably you would love to have, but what's that it factor that you look for in like speaking engagements and having people do talks at IDS? What are you looking for?
It's a big myriad of factors. We like to get ideas from outside Canada. So when we can, we like to get international speakers. And it's interesting, some of this feeling that we need to keep it local and the people on mainland will do their own thing. And I strongly disagree with that. That's why London does so well, because it's this melting pot of all these different ideas. And I think we need competition and we need ideas from outside. So we can bring a few ideas from outside. That's great. And then in terms of location, I think IDS has got this unique position of having an East Coast-ish, East Central, and a West Coast show. So we need to cross-pollinate. So we try to get speakers from the West Coast out to Toronto and vice versa. So we had Omar Gandhi come and talk at IDS Vancouver last year. He's based in Halifax and Toronto. And we had a really good speaker from Calgary come out to the show, and this individual may be talking at IDS Vancouver as well. So,
I know we're gonna talk about that later too.
With the keynotes, we want to look at different topics. I'm really keen to cover off different design disciplines because we are called the Interior Design Show, but we're looking at architecture as much as interior design. We're looking at urban planning as well. So we try and get these different topics. And lastly, we need to get good speakers. It's really important. Who's sat through boring architecture lectures? Sorry to single out architects, but I just happen to have sat through a few like 2-3 hour ones. And there are great architects who are amazing speakers as well. Don't get me wrong, but you need people who have that presence on the stage as well.
Absolutely. Now, is there anyone that you are looking to that you would love to have on the show that you've been eyeing up that you're like, oh, these guys would be amazing to have on?
You know, there's all these things in the works all the time. We've got conversations going on, and I go to Milan most years, and I'm there trying to meet and solidify conversations with designers. IDS has had some really good, like, just absolutely stellar, and people are always quite surprised that we've had Piero Lussoni and Tom Dixon and Nika Zupank and all these amazing people out to the show. I'm not going to show my cards because the people I want, I'm talking to about having out to the show. Yeah, we've got some interesting designers from LA coming up to the Vancouver show. We can talk about that in a minute, though, if you want to talk about that later.
Amazing. Absolutely, we will. Designers, you know this moment. Your client has asked for timeless and edgy. Your shortlist is running dry. You literally have 10 days before the install. What do? Well, this is why I have Robinson Lighting on speed dial. They're incredible. Not only are their showrooms beautiful, but they have a great quick ship program. Their employees know exactly what they're doing. They're not just a supplier for me, they're sometimes a lifeline. And truly, their tagline says it all. Bringing homes to life. We have some exciting news that our season 2 is going to be recorded live at IDS Vancouver, which is going to be so incredible. And thank you so much, first of all, for allowing us to have this opportunity. And I'm so pumped to talk to basically anyone and everyone that's going to be there. And I feel like we should give a shout out to, they recently rebranded.
Yes, it's Bureau now, which is a lovely name.
Bureau. Yes, and so they do these incredible self-contained units for larger office spaces. So, Will, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Bureau are an amazing company, formerly called Inbox Booths, and they do these stunning office pods. Actually, I say office, but they'd be great for your home if you need to shut yourself away from your loved ones as well. So it'd be amazing having you on the show floor with us the whole time, Ali, in a fishbowl, and people could come and listen live and check you out, and you always bring such energy and ideas to the stage. So it's such an amazing activation for the show as well. So thanks for coming to that.
Absolutely. What do you do to ground yourself, and what are you doing when you're not wearing that IDS hat?
Well, I'm a dad. I've got 2 boys who are 9 and 12. So that is a lot of my life when I'm not working. We have a really sort of happy life and relationship. And of course, my eldest is becoming a teenager, so that's interesting. But we try and do fun things with them, and that's not always creative. stuff. But I mentioned to you earlier, we were doing a lot of creative. It's been quite the week for producing creative things this week with various fairs going on, and
I love
uh,
that.
yeah, they always get pushed. I had that with my having graphic design parents. No geography project could be turned in unless it was beautiful. They did not care about the grade I got, but it had
I
to look
love
great and the
that.
line spacing had to be perfect. So I try and bring a little bit of that ethos. Um, I'm weirdly, for someone who works in events, I'm actually an introvert. So I use up all my extrovert energy at these shows and on these trips, and then I like to come home and be grounded. Okay, this is a weird thing to admit for a Londoner, but I try at least once a week to wake up early and go paddleboarding on the ocean, which is the most like West Coast hippie thing.
Oh,
But I
wow.
do that now. And I used to be going to the pub, but that's for a younger
Okay,
man.
how things change.
Things change. Things change. But yeah, I like to do these sort of calm activities. We've created this lovely life with this group of friends in Victoria. So my wife, Carla, is in design and in events as well. She runs Design Victoria, which is Victoria's design festival. So when we moved here, as I mentioned, we were kind of moaning about how there's all this exciting stuff going on, but people aren't interacting and connecting as much. And we're like, oh,
Yeah.
someone should do a design festival. And I said to her, oh, you should do it. And then she did it.
And
And
she did.
it's 3 years in, and it's a big success now. She had people come, sorry, from all around the country. I say we because the other thing that happens is when you have a partner, as you know, Ali, who interacts with you, what you do, you're always
Hmm.
talking about things. I always joke that Informa don't just get me working on IDS, they have Carla too, and vice versa. She's always walking out to my office saying, what should I do with this and how do I make this work? It's lovely to have a partner who's a collaborator and you can talk through work problems with.
Absolutely. And it makes it so much more fun when you can have a back and forth with your partner about certain things. But for me, I've also realized that there's a time to also shut off that sort of moment where you're like, okay, we cannot talk about work anymore. We're on vacation. Like, let's just not talk about work. But you're right. It is very important to have that sort of back and forth. And that's truly amazing. And I'm going to have to come to Design Victoria because I saw it all over social media and it looked like a really fun event. So that's something that I'm going to have to do for sure.
It'll be there next May, absolutely.
What's exciting that you see in the design community happening in Canada?
It's been really interesting. In Toronto, we launched this show feature, this installation called Night and Day, The Evolution of Hotel Design, where we got a set of
Mm-hmm.
interior designers and architects to each create a different space of a hotel. And we like to test things in one show and then bring them to another. So we're bringing that to Vancouver this September, and we have a different set of designers working on it. And so what's interesting is that sparked this conversation about hospitality design, which
Mm-hmm.
is changing so much at the moment, and all the disciplines are merging. So we've all had the conversation, and we don't need to talk about it about how workplace and residential and everything have all crossed over since the pandemic. But now hospitality design, people are taking cues from it in different projects. You're beginning to see cues from other parts of interior design coming into hospitality, and it's this lovely melting pot. Plus,
Mm-hmm.
there's talk of the hotels have got this refurb budget that they haven't spent because of the pandemic, and they're starting to think about how to allocate that. So it's an
Wow.
exciting time for that part of design in Canada, especially because we do not have enough good hotels, especially in BC. It's a very sorry state of affairs. So we're going to be doing that in Vancouver and also having a few talks on the future of hospitality and how the design community can support that. And I will plug one more exciting thing for the show, which
Please
is
do.
a lot of people come to the show and they want to see more lighting. And I love lighting. I'm obsessed with
Mm-hmm.
lighting and furniture. As you know more than most people, a light can transform a space. The form and or the function of the light can really make the difference.
Absolutely.
So we're launching a new lighting section of the show called Illuminate, where we're creating this raw industrial scaffold structure and having about 12 lighting brands show. It's going to be this beautiful installation which is going to hopefully blow people away in the entrance of the show.
Oh my God, that's incredible. Well, I can't wait to see that. A lighting installation with 12 designers. That's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
I, for one, want to thank you so much for just being such a great ally, such a great sort of partner of mine. I think it's really amazing to see what you're doing with IDS and the design community in Canada. I'm excited to be at IDS Vancouver coming up in the fall, and I can't wait to see this amazing lighting installation that you have. And thank you for joining me on AVD Inspire and inspiring all the listeners today.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It's lovely to talk to you and see you very soon at the show.
Can't wait.
Cheers. Bye, Ali.
Well, there you have it. Will from IDS. What an inspiring conversation. Thank you to Robinson Lighting Bath for being an incredible sponsor, and make sure you're not only liking, subscribing, but looking at the notes in the description below. And great news, we're going to be coming live from IDS West in the fall for season 2, which is super exciting. I hope you got inspired today, and if you know of anybody that could use a little inspiration, let them know about AVD Inspire.